guys, I've got this knife pretty much finished up. All that's left is to go ahead and profile and shape the handle on it. So come and watch me, I'll show you how I do it. Let's get dirty. Here we go, time to get to work. That was the large part of the handle here, the back, and part of the bottom. This inside section here that I cut out for the fingers, I'm going to take over to my horizontal grinder with my small wheel attachment. Let's go over there. This is my small wheel attachment. I'm going to take this and just get into this finger area. I'm using a 60 grit belt. One of the things that I like to do when I'm making a knife handle is I like to make sure that my material is square. This material came to me and these two sides weren't identical. So what I do is I use this 1, 2, 3 block here as a flat surface. Now I'm going to use this flat surface right here as my indexing flat to mark my scales with. So I've taken a pencil and attached it to my height gauge. I've marked out a spot that I think is good where I'm not going to be trimming off a ton of material, and I just mark a line all the way around, and then I'm going to walk over to my grinder and grind off the excess so that everything is square before I even get started. It's just a nice place to start. Flip it over, do the same thing on the other side. Then that way both sides of the knife are going to be symmetrical. If you start with something that's perfect, you have a much better chance of having everything be symmetrical in the end. Here we go. So see, you could see right there, this side has much less material on it than this side. And after I grind to these lines on the grinder, both sides are going to match up and they're going to be perfect. Moved over to the grinder. Now, most people tape up the blades. I did for a long time. Now, I just try really hard not to touch it with my grinder. Now that I've got my handle scales trued up from side to side, I could take a wing divider with a pencil, protractor, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to set my distance on my grind to line. Now this line right here, I'm going to never grind past so that I have a nice profile up against the spine of the knife. You don't want the handle to round right over the spine of your knife. That's not what you're going for. I draw a line on this side to show me where to grind to towards the tang. Then what I like to do is I take the same wing divider and I'm going to draw a line here. Now you'll notice that my line goes right above my pins on both sides. I don't like the pins to be in the area of the knife where there's too much curve. I like the pins to be more on the flat section of the knife. I think it gives the knife a better appearance. So on the top of the knife, I want it to be have a harder angle, a nice wider top. So I made the lines pretty close together, and I'm gonna go to my grinder. I'm gonna grind out this triangle of material between these two lines from front to back on both sides. So basically I'm gonna grind several flat facets, and then after I get my flats ground in, I'm gonna go back and round it out with sandpaper. The top I want a nice large radius, the bottom I want a thinner radius. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to change the rake on this to give me a little bit higher pull. And on this I'm going to go slightly above my pins. Alright, there we go. Boom. Now if you like the butt of the knife to be square, then just leave it like that. You'll grind these facets right off the end. If you want the butt of the knife to be slightly rounded, you can draw a line here and then grind these little facets off also, and then you can round the butt of the knife. It really just depends on the knife that you're making for what you want. So I'm going to step over to the grinder, and I'm going to grind this off, and I'm going to grind this off. I'm going to move down to the bottom of my grinder and use this wheel to grind out this inner area right in here, because you can't really do that on a flat. Here's the part where I'm going to take the knife and lay it in at an angle, make sure that I don't hit the blade with my grinder, and I'm going to taper the front of the scale back. Because I don't like it when it's real blocky. It makes it hard to get into your knife sheath, and I just think it fits better in your hand when it's thinner up here around the top. So here we go. With the shoe shine method, when you wrap your paper over the top, you'll notice there's a gap. There's a gap right here. You don't want to shoe shine to where your paper touches the metal, ever. So I stopped on my line right here on both sides, right there and right there, so you can see my line that I drew. When I shoe shine, I'm removing material from this side right here. All I'm trying to do is round from my line down. So I'm not really going to work this line that you see right here towards the spine, because I want there to be a flat surface all the way around, because you don't want to try to radius the metal. That will never work. The wood sands away so much faster than the metal that when you do the shoe shine, you want to be really careful. If you see that you're removing more material on one side or the other, like I'm right-handed, so I will always remove material on this side first. So what I'll do is when I'm doing this, I will put emphasis on this left side to make up for being right-handed. So that way you can watch it remove material, and you want to just remove material consistently from both sides so that you've got a symmetrical appearance to your handle. So here's another trick that I like to do. When you're sanding small radiuses and you need thinner pieces of sandpaper, they always try to rip on you. So what I do is I put a little bit of tape on the back side of my sandpaper before I cut my strips, and that gives me some sandpaper that's not going to fail. I could take those thin strips that I made, I could do these inside radiuses right here, and they can get in there and the sandpaper doesn't break. Smooth everything out real nice. Get it right where you want it.